Welcome to a hill climb so iconic that it doesn't even really have a name, it's just the intersection of two roads. This is Hollin Lane to Withenshaw Lane, and the finish is actually on Ridge Hill. There's two left turns in this. It's a beautiful road. Ridge Hill is where I filmed from last week, and the nice thing about how bad my channel is that I don't really have to apologise that it's extra poor this week. You probably won't notice, but I've had to assemble this, having driven down to my nan's on the south coast, and I am flying to Canada tomorrow, so I am hastily cobbling this together, hoping I can press go on the edit and press upload overnight. God knows if it'll be any good at all. My laptop's not behaving, but still. I wanted to get something out to commemorate my last effort of this series.
Never enjoyed that. No promises. No promises.
I prefer when he has weird faces.
Ah, look at that beautiful weird face. That's what Rhiannon asked for. I haven't got the photos from the photographer yet, but I will buy them. I tried to do 2 hands off the bar, thumbs up and smiles. And when you see the results later, you'll go, wow, you really didn't have time to be messing about like that. Why weren't you just cycling harder? This climb's great in a technical sense. It's really interesting to see how people tackle the fact that the very first bit is stepped, like between false flat and 10%. Then there's just this steep block on a back lane, and then it almost levels out for the final kick. So there's many different ways you could tackle this climb, and I find that really interesting. Unfortunately, for someone like me who's very bad at the transition from steep to shallow and continuing to get power down to get speed up, that happens about 5 times in this climb at least. So I lose time on every single one of those, but hey. It's all about the fun, right? I was struggling to know sort of how to tackle this, and my last few efforts at these hill climbs haven't been fantastic, truth be told. They haven't been bad, but they haven't been as good as last year. I haven't mentioned for a while, but I did break my ankle in that time, so maybe I should be cutting myself slack, but I am expecting some pretty, I'm expecting better numbers than I'm putting out. But I realise that's because this year I've really done a lot of long distance stuff, and I think you can sort of be good over 12 hours or you can be good over 5 minutes. You can't do both to your very, very best at the same time, and I think unfortunately I've just prioritised the longer rides as it is this year, which doesn't matter at all. I've enjoyed these. I am still competitive for a podium spot at these, depending who comes. I can potentially be challenged in a third or a second. I'm not going to win any of them, so be it. But they're still just a great way of getting high intensity, getting some racing in, and enjoying it. I should also mention, friend of the channel, Helen, We're All Foodie Cyclist, said I should weigh myself now and after I come back from Canada. And I weighed myself now and it's like 5 kilos too heavy, so that's probably why I'm not doing very well. Here's the course profile. As you can see, it looks almost steady on Strava, but it isn't. It really isn't. I struggled a little bit with knowing what gear to be in to start. I toyed with starting in the big ring for this whole section along Hollin's Lane. It's so rolly that I thought maybe I should go hard and stompy on the steep bits, and knowing that being in that big ring will help me get faster, quicker on the rolly flats. But I did a few, this is surprisingly prepared for me, I did a few little trials just on this section while I was warming up, and even in sort of the easiest gear I could get into, like a 2350, one, I was worrying about dropping the chain, and 2, I was still doing sort of 50 RPM, even at 400 watts up some of these bits, and I just thought, it might work for the first 1 or 2, but it really won't be sustainable, so I just went for little ring, and okay, I'm going to lose a bit of power in the transition. I felt like I was going okay speed-wise. We had quite strong crosswinds along here, which meant when we turned the very slight left, the first slight left you can see on the mini-map, we had the wind behind us, which was good. I don't think it helped as much as Beamer made out. If anything, mate, it was a huge hindrance on here. It was a huge hindrance having those crosswinds. It cost me at least 20 seconds, defo. Now, we did have quite a strong wind behind us, and it did help, but not not as much as I was hoping for, to be honest. I was quite happy with my power numbers though. They kept ticking over relatively reassuringly. My aim for something of this duration is to be doing 400 watts when I'm pushing on, and to just be doing threshold or above on the flats as long as I'm going fast. So I'm hoping to average over 350. I know that I can do kind of 360 watts for 10 minutes really reproducibly. And bizarrely once, I did 370 watts for 14 minutes on Snake Pass. I wonder if I just had a good power meter day that day. Because, yeah, that sounds unsustainable to me. 350 for 10 is sort of my benchmark in my head. But anyway, basically on this, I'm just trying to do 400, and every time I'm not doing 400, just keep it threshold or above. I also try and get aero on the flatter sections while doing this. I think there's probably a little bit of time to be gained by doing that. I've started to wonder if for me it's false economy, because my power drops so much when I get in those low positions. It's not like this is a 25-mile time trial that's won or lost on aero. I'm thinking maybe I lose more in power for the 10 seconds at a time that I do it than I gain in CDA. Who knows? And to be honest, worries like that are for better cyclists than me. Even if I got all of that absolutely nailed in, I'd be looking at 3rd or 4th at a local hill climb and 20th at any of the autumn ones. So doesn't really matter, does it? Lovely evening, should be said. It started absolutely tipping it down after we left this, but we got the weather when we wanted it, so that's great. And this bit of the sort of South Peaks I think is really pretty, and maybe a bit less well known than some of the other areas we do around the Cat and Fiddle, so it was always nice to see. My laptop's struggling so much that I don't know where I am in the video, but I'm guessing I've just taken the left turn onto Withenshaw Lane, which is where it all gets a bit farmy. It gets a bit agricultural, it gets very steep, and on that left turn I deliberately laid off the power just a little bit. In anything high intensity, I really benefit from just like 1 or 2 seconds letting myself off the hook. So when we were doing Zwift Racing League like time trials, if there's a descent where I can not pedal for 2 seconds, that makes quite a big difference to me. And just around there, I had some speed. Allowing myself to really let off helps a lot. I'll never be a time trialist. That's not my power profile. I'm no good at 20 minutes of just sitting at threshold. I like giving myself a bit of slack and then going hard. That being said, the power numbers are looking alarmingly low for a little while here. We're just coming into the steep section. And there I wanted to be doing 400 plus most of the time. As Beamer said last week, you get more benefit by putting your power down on the steepest sections. And I did okay at that, but not brilliantly here, truth be told. I should say, for the power numbers, the only thing in my defence is these power pedals aren't mine. Mine are on my bike, which is in the shop at the moment. They're borrowed from my dad, and he has a slightly shorter setting for them to go to sleep than mine. So for the first 10 seconds of this race, they didn't wake up, and there was one dropout as well. So my average power at the end, at first I was a bit disappointed by, and then I realised, no, I'd actually done pretty well, exactly what I should have been. I think this climb is a really great one for people who aren't sure if they want to do hill climbs to just come and have a go at, because it's got a little bit of everything in it. And to me, I think that's half the fun. You know, as beautiful as Cat and Fiddle is, and I'm not slagging it off, but it is basically a time trial. Whereas for this, there's so much variety. You get to experiment even within the course of one climb, which I think is kind of cool. In my head, emerging from that steep bit was kind of, well, we're coming to the end now, and it's just a case of banging out whatever you can. I could see my Minuteman ahead of me, but as I've said before, these really steep sections, they mess with your head a little bit. Your Minuteman will look surprisingly close because it takes so long to cover that ground. And I would have liked to have put more of a kick in and used that carrot. But Paul's a great cyclist, and, you know, the idea of catching him was too much for me. I couldn't do that, but I wish I'd made a bit more of that mental bait there, if that makes sense. I knew Rhiannon was just on the right here, and what you can't tell is that on the left, I can see the top as it swings round. You can see cyclists coming up, you can see the finish line. It can be a little bit painful in a way. Here's where I start titting around, pulling faces. I regret nothing. I'm here for the fun. I am not here to prove anything to anyone. But honestly, my messing about with Rhiannon and the cameraman later on probably cost me 2 or 3 seconds just in focus. It doesn't make a difference to the results in the slightest. Then around this corner, I was just sort of, you have to keep half an eye out because there could be cars, but there were stewards and people would have told me. And then it's just a case of don't give up. Big kick to the line if you've got it. I didn't really have it, but I made sure not to allow myself to give up anyway. So 400 watts is not a strong finish, but it's stronger than if I quit and do 250 watts, right? So I was just trying to keep in my head that put down whatever power you've got, okay? We've seen a 500 there, which actually, it's not too bad for me. So I've got to be quite happy with that finish. I came 5th. My time, not bad. Not great, but not bad. Pretty happy. And then it says I did 370. I think it was probably 380 watts for that duration.
Talk to me, Nick.
God, that was hard. Lovely hill. I'm no good at the getting over a steep bit and then needing to keep the pressure on, but more cadence, just dreadful.
What was your pacing strategy then?
Bang it and hope for the best. Yeah. Let the terrain dictate my effort was the lazy way of saying I just did whatever. Yeah. I stayed in the little ring the whole time, didn't mess about with the front mech. And that was it. I tried to save something for the steep, but I didn't have loads. What was your pacing strategy?